Hey everyone. Welcome to Zoetic Chat. Unleash your life's journey with me, John Mayfield. This ultimate podcast for spiritual guidance will answer all your life, soul and spiritual questions. I'm thrilled to have you join me every week. My vast knowledge, wisdom and experience are crucial to your personal and spiritual growth. Together we will explore a variety of topics and delve deeply into the truths of my life and spiritual path. Don't forget to sign up to my newsletter at johnmayfield.com. Hey everyone. Welcome to Zoetic Chat, Unleash Your Life's Journey, episode 2. I'm so happy to be delivering this to you. Such a lot has happened since the last episode, and I'd just like to share some of that with you. Little did I know that at the beginning of this year that I would be having a gallbladder operation. My gallbladder has been taken out, so no more pain. But at the beginning of the year, I got taken into hospital. All my vitals were through the roof. I was feeling really ill. And phoning the emergency helpline, they sent an ambulance to fetch me. And I was taken into A&E, the local hospital, who were amazing. I've got to praise that hospital. Anything and everything that I needed, they just whizzed me through. I'd got an infection somewhere, but they didn't know where. And all of the signs were high and the measurements and the recordings were high. I don't know what they all mean. And I was in pain and I was confused and I didn't know what was happening. Anyway, to cut a long story short, they found that I had a large gallstone and they gave me fluids, they gave me antibiotics and painkillers, and just sitting there in a room with other people who were having different drugs and medication popped into them intravenously. And a funny thing, there wasn't enough, the stands that you get where they hang the bags on so that they're higher than you and they drip down into your the line that you've got in. Well, there wasn't enough of those stands. So they said to me, oh, there's a lady there, look, you can go and share with her. So they wheeled me to where this lady was and hooked my bag up next to hers. And we started chatting a little bit in between the oohs and ahs of pain and discomfort. And we'd got so many different things in common. It was quite amazing. Down to the fact that we both wear the same trainer because we've got the same problem with our feet. Unbelievable, really. Don't you believe that sometimes people are just put on your path for a reason? Absolutely. Me and that lady we followed each other, wheelchaired to each other to the different x-ray places, but she had her operation the next day. I came home and I was told I had to wait for an operation date. Now, that came through, and within 6 weeks of going into hospital, I got an operation date, and it was 6 weeks, more or less to the day, that I would be having my gallbladder out, and that was 3 weeks ago. I feel amazing. I can't do everything yet, and I've got some pain, but not the same pain that I had before. And I was thinking, the reason I'm talking about this is I want to just share with you how I deal with operations and things like that. I know my gallbladder needed to come out, and I know it wasn't good for me sitting there in my body. But no one likes to lose an organ, do you? Your organs are there for a reason. Even if people say you don't need it, that bile has to go somewhere. But so I thought about my life and things that have happened over the last 6 to 9 months, 2 years. No, not 2 years. I would say 1 year. Over the last year, things that have happened in my life have made me sob uncontrollably because I couldn't believe what was happening, who was saying what, and this and that and the other. I couldn't believe how people were treating me, how I allowed people to treat me more to the point. And there was so much and so many things in that last year that it almost became farcical. I turned a corner and then something else would be there. I'd do something else and begin to get over it. I'd think differently. I'd work on my negativity and be positive about everything, which is what I advocate to everyone else. And I needed a taste of my own medicine. I needed someone like me to talk to me, how I speak to other people. But it wasn't working some of the time. And it was this sobbing that I didn't like. And one event, I'm not going into details, not on here. One event that happened got me sobbing uncontrollably. And I thought, you're a 63-year-old woman, very spiritual, always helping other people, and something's not going right. So why am I allowing myself to feel like this? And on that one particular day, at that particular moment, I said, I'm done. I'm done. And I really meant it. I was done with certain people. I was done with certain situations. I was done with feeling and being emotional. Done. My soul did not need to experience that anymore. And I was so strong in my conviction of the way that I said I'm done. I knew that I was, but I wasn't done in the fact that I got my gallbladder problem. So I was done to cut myself away and the ties and everything connecting to that sobbing and the people that brought that sobbing forward. I'm done. So then I got my gallbladder. It came up and said hello to me. So I thought, well, how am I going to deal with this? And why have I suddenly got a gallbladder problem? I believe it was a combination of all that stuff, that stress, if you want to use that word, those unbelievable feelings that I was getting, heart-centered feelings, soul-centered feelings, emotion, grieving for someone and people that are still alive. Horrible. It was awful. But this is the end because I'm done. So I used my gallbladder as a bag. And in that bag, I decided to put all of those people, all of those situations, all of that sobbing, all of that heartache, all of that bellyache, all of that feeling sad. And where's my happiness? Where had my happiness gone? It had just gone. I'd allowed other people to take that away from me. No more, because I'm done. So in my gallbladder bag went all of that. And I even added a bit extra. I said, and anything and everything from my past needs to go on there. But everything, every person, every action, everything that had happened in the last year was to go in that bag. And I actually visualized it. And at one point, I drew what my perception of the gallbladder bag on a piece of paper. And I put the names of people in it and scenarios in there also. And then I wrote in big letters, I'm done. I then ripped up that piece of paper into tiny pieces. And you never guess, I sobbed again. But that was the last time I sobbed. I ripped it into tiny pieces. I burnt it. And I sent the ashes away in the trash can so that it would go to landfill and it would just mingle with all the other grime in the landfill, all the mold and all the bits and all the disgusting, smelly stuff. I let it go there. And I don't know where that is now, that piece of paper. So back to my gallbladder, I've still got it inside me, but now it's full of all those things. And it's operation day, the 6th of February. And I was laying on the bed with my hand dangling down the side of the bed on the anaesthetist's knee while he was putting the lines in to feed his sleeping juice into my body. And by the other side of the bed was a lady who was trying to keep me happy, if you like. She was talking about mundane, boring, normal things. And I said, let me tell you about my gallbladder and what I'm doing with it. So she says, what do you mean? So I told her that story that I've just told you, not in so much detail. We didn't have time. And I said, please make sure that when my gallbladder comes out of my body, it goes into that incinerator. Because the actual gallbladder with the actual people and the actual evidence and the actual experiences were going in that incinerator, and that would be it. Major, I'm done. Capital letters, exclamation marks, and asterisks to follow. I'm done. So she looked at me and she says, oh, I've never thought of anything like that before. And people do think I'm a bit weird, sometimes the way that I think about things. And you'll get used to that by listening to the podcast. And those of you that know me know I do it for your best and your good. So she said, don't you worry, your gallbladder will be gone where it needs to go. And I remember saying, thank you. And they were just about to put the oxygen mask on my face. And I said, just a minute. And they're like, what's the matter with you? And I said, nothing's the matter. I said, I just need to visualize what I want in my life, not what I don't want. So I just got this quick vision of a new love coming in, new scenarios and different people and happiness and joy and a new me. That's what I visualized. I said it quickly and they were just laughing and they put the oxygen back on my face. He must have pushed his syringe of juice in my body because I don't remember anything. I'm on the road to recovery. I feel amazingly happy. I feel like I'm starting a new life. And lots of things have happened even since that gallbladder operation, me recovering, of course. Like I came home and I just got into bed and I got in a position where I couldn't move and I didn't want to move because it hurt. But 3 weeks on, I can move. I can walk and I feel good. The food that I used to eat, I can't eat, I can't stomach, I don't want it. And I didn't eat rubbish. I had a really clean living diet. I was vegan many years ago, up until about 18 months ago when I started eating fish and eggs because I felt my body needed the protein. I go by what my body feels like it needs, not because someone tells me that I should be vegan, do you know? I don't eat dairy, any kind of dairy, and I don't eat gluten. So it doesn't leave much except fresh fruit, fresh food, which is what we should be eating. So I am eating well, but I can't eat fish. I've been in 3 supermarkets, walked to go down the fish aisle, and I'm heaving. So I know I don't need that. Eggs, I had a poached egg the other day and it was kind of a bit gloopy in my belly. So I think eggs are going. And I've moved on to tofu, which I've had before, but not a lot of it. But I've got tofu now and I'm looking at different ways of cooking that. So my eating has changed. My life outlook has changed. I have a good outlook on life. I'm very spiritual, as you know. I connect to the energies that have passed over. I help people in personal and spiritual development. But my self has changed. Not only because I said I'm done, because I put all of that stuff in my gallbladder and it's been incinerated, So it's released it from me. I feel clear. I feel like I've got clear sight moving forward. I have no specific plans, but I know that the universe will give me exactly exactly what I need. Isn't that such an amazing feeling when you know that the universe is going to give you what you need? I love that feeling. So that's my little gallbladder journey to date. And I just want to thank everyone, all of my spiritual friends, all of my spiritual friends for sending me healing, whatever type of healing I've received it, and all my friends that have sent prayers to me, about me, around me for my recovery, and everyone else that sent me well wishes. You know, when you're not very well, you see the people that mean something to you in your life, don't you? One of my friends has rang me every single day, not so much this last week because she knows I'm all right. Every single day for over 2 weeks, she rang me. If I didn't answer, I rang her back. And I appreciate that woman so much. It makes me tearful. Makes me tearful when I think about how kind people have been to me, people that I didn't expect or didn't even think they'd say the things that they said or connected to me in the way that they have. I just thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Now I've got 2 questions. I'm just going to pause and have a drink, but I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to pause and have a drink. Nice warm lemon water with honey and ginger. This podcast seems to be talking about death again. I know episode 1 did also, but we're going to move on to something more positive on, um, on episode 3. But episode 2 today, I've got 2 questions that people have sent in. Well, number 1 is what advice do you give to someone struggling with grief? And the other question is, can you talk about a time when you were able to help someone find closure? What's closure? I'm not quite sure what that is. What do you think closure is? If you do journaling, you could write down a little sentence or two what you think closure is. Do you need closure? Is it a something? Not a word I would use connecting to people that have passed over, but nevertheless, people do. And what I talk to you about on here, how I answer these questions, is from my experience, from what I've been shown in life experiences and what I believe. So, first of all, I want to ask you 2 questions. Do you believe in life after death? And is life eternal? You can work out the answers, your answers. That's it. There's no right or wrong answer because everything is subjective. Nobody knows the real truth. We all have our own take on everything. I like it. I like the fact that we can do that and that we can discuss with most people what we feel, what we think, and what they feel and what they think. But do we need closure? I don't really feel that. I believe that we should trust and believe that the universe does everything in its power to give us what we need, to give us what we're here on earth for. Do you trust and believe in the universe or God or angels or planets or aliens? What is it you believe? People pass. People don't pass. The soul passes. The person doesn't pass. The person is either cremated or put in the ground. And I remember when my partner passed, and I was in teacher training then, and we had to do, I think they called it micro teach to the group. And I did a micro teach on organ donation, but I also talked about cremation and burial and what happens. And some of the people were really quite shocked to think that they needed to think about that. So that is the person, isn't it? That is the person. It's not the personality, it's the person's body. They're not the person because the personality and everything isn't there anymore. The heartbeat has gone and the soul has gone. So I believe that we all come here as a soul and it chooses the body that it wants and the family that it wants. And that's where some of the black sheep come in, because the black sheep start to change the dynamics of the family, but they're seen as baddie black sheep. Black sheep is an old saying that goes back many years, that if you're naughty or do something wrong, or you go against the grain, or you go against the family, or you stand up for yourself, you become that black sheep. And it just means the odd one out in the family. That's what it means. I don't know what, if that's politically correct or what is politically correct way to say that. So that's how I say it. That's how I've been brought up. But make it feel right for you. Whatever it is, whatever you need to say, you need to do, you need to connect to, make it right for you. So if someone comes to me and they'll say, hey, John, I need a session with you, such and such has passed over and I'm not dealing very well with it. So I would say, yeah, that's a really good idea. Let's have a chat. So I'm asking, because I'm a medium, I'm asking for that person to come forward, the person that's passed. I'll ask for them to come forward. Now I can see them as a projection of what they used to look like, or I can see them as an orb, a bit like a crystal ball, orb shape in different colors maybe, or they might put pictures in that orb shape so I can say things to the person. I'll see the pictures and interpret it to the person. What I say to these people is that that person's soul needed to go home, because I believe that that is home. That person's soul needed to go home. So you should begin to celebrate the passing of that soul. The soul passed, I believe, at the right time, in the right place, with the right people around, in the right way. So if someone had a tragic car accident and passed like that, that was their way to go. Their soul needed to experience that. If they helped themselves go over, that was what they were always destined to do. If they got the big C, if they had a heart attack, if they fell off a roof, if they drowned, that is their way to go. It's no good saying, oh, I let them walk by the river but for 10 minutes before I could join them, but if I'd have joined them earlier, they'd still be alive. It was still all destined to happen. That's how I see it. That's how the universe has shown it to me over these years. We'll just touch on people taking themselves over. In my book, Zoetic Soul, sorry, which I was published in 2017, there's a whole chapter on the S, taking themselves home. I'm not going to use the S word because people just don't like it these days. And the chapter is from the soul's point of view of the person that passed in that way. So I connected to the soul of that person on the other side, and they typed, they spoke. So they spoke, I recorded it, and I typed. And if you read it, that chapter, and read it again, you can see, feel, know how they passed. And none of them said, I'm depressed, I'm fed up, I can't live my life, I wish someone would help me. They all had a scenario that took them over. So that's Zoetic Soul. If you want to get it, it's on Amazon. You can buy the physical book, or you can just get the ebook and just read that chapter if that's all you need. People, humans that are left on earth after someone has passed over in that way, feel guilty. because they think that they could have helped that person. They feel bad because that person did that. Because when people did that years ago, it was hushed. Oh, don't say anything about that. Hide it under the carpet. My grandma's cousin did the family tree, and my granddad's dad helped himself go over. But that page was often taken out or moved away because it wasn't the done thing. But it's always gone on because it's a thing. People do it, and it's their way of going. When I talk to people and they understand that that is the way that their soul needed to go, they start to relax their shoulders and exhale more deeply and believe that their soul needed to go in that way. And it's just that human person who's upset and wish they could have helped them that makes people think that they could have been stopped. They can't, in my opinion. When someone has a heart attack, it's their time to go. When someone has cancer, it's their time to go. Everything is their time. Another difficult one for humans is when people have miscarriages or lose a child. Because over time, people have said the old people die before the young people. The old people pass before the young people. You should never lose a child. You should never lose a child, they say. But who said? Who said that? Who put that out there? Your soul comes here to experience. So if my soul decides that it wants to experience living to 88, then it will go at 88. If my soul needs to experience the loss of your husband, it will experience loss of husband. If my soul wants to experience miscarriage, it will have experienced miscarriage. So the mothers of the souls that are in the miscarriage, the souls of the mothers say, I want to come to earth, be in that human and experience miscarriage. The soul coming into the fetus says, I want to be in the mother's womb for so many weeks and then experience miscarriage going home. So when you think about it like that, every soul has got what it needs, not someone from years ago telling you that it's wrong. Because if it was wrong, there would be a way to write it. And there isn't a way to write it because lots of people still take themselves home. Lots of people still have cancer. Lots of people have heart attacks. Lots of people have miscarriages. Lots of people have the T, and I won't say that word on here, to take their children, babies, to the other side. It's not you that's taking them to the other side. It's their soul's decision to go to the other side. So to those mothers, I say, well done. Congratulations for incubating that fetus for the amount of time that it needed to be with you. And then you allowed it to go home. Celebrate it, but not until you've come to terms with it. Because at the end of the day, you're a human being with emotions and feelings. Excuse me, with emotions and feelings. And it's those emotions and feelings that get out of sync and they go wild and you overthink things. So bring yourself back to a central point and grieve for the loss, because it is a loss for you as a human, but it's a celebration for the soul. And I talk like that to people that ask me to help them with grieving. And 9 times out of 10, they come back to me and say, you'll never know, Jan, how much that helped me. Because they'd been to grieving counsellors, and there's nothing wrong with them. Everyone's got their place. But they kept making them cry, and they kept making them think about the person, and they kept making them talk about sadness, anger, fear, going through all those emotions. You don't have to, you don't have to go through all those emotions when you lose someone. Someone is telling you that it's likely that you should. But if you take that emotion and move it to the other side and be happy for that soul passing, hey, Dad, I'm so happy that you passed at your right day. I'm sorry I saw you had to suffer a little bit towards the end. I'll be so grateful if you'd come round and help me in my life now. Show me the white feathers, guide me, give me synchronicity, show me numbers, show me, bring people onto my path. Then you take the onus off yourself, your human self, in blame. You're not to blame because someone else passed over in their right way at their right time. You're not to blame for that. You don't need to get angry for that. You need to feel the love that you had for that person and then begin to share that love with the world. Have a little bit of grieving because that's human nature, the loss. But the loss of the soul is not the loss. It's the loss of the human physical and the transition of the soul. Is the soul eternal? What do you believe? One other little thing that I say to people when they've lost someone is to go out and buy a plant, bush, ornament, object. Buy something that either the colour reminds you of them, the shape reminds you of them, the name of the plant reminds you of them, whatever it is that reminds you of them. And why do I say that? Because when you're in grieving, when you have lost someone, when you think about them, you think about them, you think about the good times, you think about them being ill, you think about everything. And then you kind of think about it and it goes from your mind into your heart and then it goes into your belly and your belly begins to do somersaults and turns over and isn't feeling very good and you can't get rid of that feeling. When you get an object or a plant or something, as you're feeling those emotions, when it gets to your belly, somehow your mind then thinks, oh, but I bought that plant. So that sinking feeling doesn't sink as far. So it takes away that sinking feeling. Eventually, when that feeling gets to your heart will feel love for what you purchased for them in response to them passing as a memory. So you start to think about them, the thought gets to your heart, and then you feel love, and then you tend to your plant or look at the object, you polish it or whatever you do with it. But the object takes away that feeling of sinking and not being able to move on. It does. It just does. And you need to try it and you'll be able to see that it does. It's only the human you that thinks it's the worst thing in life to die. But what if it was the best thing? Wow. What if all those souls that we've known and more are living the best ever life? And that's where we're all destined to be. And this is just a bit of a blip that we have to come and experience. What if that was the case? Think about that. Write it in your journal. What if passing to the other side is the best thing ever? I want to just share something with you that I was talking to a friend of mine recently. We were talking about death and dying and wills and stuff like that. And she said, when she passes, she's got it all written down what she wants. And she thinks that her family will do that for her as a piece of last respect, like she's done it for her friends and family and different people that she's lost. She's done as much as she could. She's had ashes in objects, in rings, and planted trees, had plaques, and in the memorial books, everything that she could possibly do, she's done for that person. But I, being me, think of it differently. I've told, oh, well, I know at least one of my children that I just want to be thrown somewhere. I want my ashes to be free. So I don't want them in an urn in your garage under a box of books. I want my ashes to be thrown somewhere because that isn't my soul. That is the remains of my human body. I don't want to go in the ground. I want to be thrown. If you want to keep some for a ring or a necklace or for whatever reason, or put some in your garden, that's up to you. I'm happy with whatever you want to do to make my funeral the best it can be for you, not for me. I'll be watching. I'll be watching and say, oh, look at them doing that. What are they doing that? I don't like that piece of music. Oh, I like that piece of music. It doesn't matter to me what you do when my soul is flying free in a new place. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you make it as easy as you possibly can for yourself. Some might say that because my friends already organised and thought about everything, that that's making it easier for the children. For me, I want them to do what they want to do. If it's my children that arrange my funeral, I've said if I die abroad, I just leave me abroad. My soul will go where it needs to go and let the country. You don't need to be bringing me back to England or whatever country I'm in, you know. But think about that as well. Do you need to have that conversation with your family? Do you need to have something in writing? Is there something you really don't want to happen? Is there something you really do want to happen? You know, write it down and share it with your family. So I don't know if I've covered. Can you talk about a time when you were able to help someone find closure? I think closure is a very old fashioned word to use, connecting to the loss of someone that you know. So I don't know if I've literally answered that question, but I've given you lots of information in the way that I see things, the way that things have been shown to me over the years of connecting to souls that have passed over and their loved ones that are still on earth. I want to just share two things with you from when my father passed over, or times after he's passed over, how he showed me that he is still around. So there came a time where I was going to buy a new second-hand car. And I said to him, because I do talk to him, I talk to anyone that's listening. And I said, hey, Dad, what car do you think I should get? And it didn't come back with a get this or get that. Over the time, whilst I was looking, he gave me M. And I thought, oh, that's got to be on the plate, MM, because there aren't any cars, MM. So anyway, I was looking and I did go to a Citroen garage and I look in and I thought there's no MMs and nothing felt right. And the cars that they'd got, the horsepower was wrong, or this was wrong, or that was wrong, or I didn't like sitting in it. So I got out. Anyway, one day I was looking online and I saw a Citroen. I said, I like that one. It's got the spec that I want and everything. Just a few years old. So he said, that's in Scotland. And I said, oh, okay, then we won't have that. And he said, but we can bring it down here for you. So that's probably like 5-hour drive. I said, oh. And he says, do you really like it? I said, yes, I really like it. If it's as it's described, no major scratches or anything like that, I want it, please. So anyway, they got this car and I thought, I don't know where the MM is. Couldn't find it. Anyway, they gave me the logbook and the whatever else. And this car had come from Macklin Motors. That was my MM, Macklin Motors in Scotland. Can't remember where without checking it out. So that was like, oh my gosh, kind of a moment, you know. The other thing that he did, again with a car, he I was changing it again, and he said to me, I said to him, come on then, Dad, show me what car, which car I should be having. Anyway, again, I was drawn to the Citroen, but he kept showing me um LA. So I thought, is LA going to be the make? No. LA in the number plate, couldn't find it. License plate, I couldn't find it. No LA, nothing LA. Anyway, one day I went to this next town, but I went down the back streets, back roads, because I knew there was a garage in this other town before I got to where I was going. So I went and had a look in there, nothing, no LA, no LA, Los Angeles. That's all I could think. Los Angeles, Los Angeles. Anyway, I could hear my dad laughing, laughing and laughing and laughing. And I thought, what's he laughing at? Because he was a bit of a joker. Anyway, I got to where I needed to go, and I thought, oh, I'm going to just sit and have a cup of tea in a cafe. But opposite was Sports Direct. Sports Direct. So I went in there, but I don't know why. I'd got no intention of going in there. I just thought, oh, I'll go in here and have a look. But really, I wanted a cup of tea. Anyway, I went in there, and I was looking at the Skechers trainers, and I thought I'd like some trainers that I could wear that aren't like running shoes or gym shoes. Anyway, they've got these white ones, just like leather looking, lace up, a bit of a sort of a wedge. I thought, oh, quite like them. Anyway, I got one down and I tried it on, one of them. And I thought, oh, yeah, I really like that. It was so comfortable. Anyway, I picked it, I took it off and had a look at it. And you know, the tongue bit, it had got Los Angeles on it. Los Angeles. So I thought, oh, I've got to have these. My dad's shown me LA. I've got to have these trainers. So they're probably more expensive than I've ever bought trainers before, but nowhere near the most expensive trainers in the world. I thought, I've got to have them. So I bought these trainers, and I thought, I could hear my dad laughing. And I said, you just want me to run, don't you? Or walk or not get a car or something. Anyway, that was kind of, I thought, well, that's the end of that. Anyway, I did find a car, and I did get that car. There was nothing, no connection to LA with the car, just my dad joking. And then when I got home that day, I was actually living with my mother, and I went into my bedroom, workroom, office, room for everything. And on the floor was a little card. I've got a little tiny deck of cards that I use sometimes when I'm giving readings, but I hadn't used them for a long, long time. And the Joker card was in the middle of the floor in my bedroom. And that's my dad telling me that he was joking. So things that your loved ones say and do aren't always what they seem. He's never given me any information about the car that I've got, but I've kept that card, and I've kept the tag that was on my LA trainers, my Los Angeles trainers. And to me, it's just amazing, that kind of thing. And I'll repeat that story probably until I die, because I think it is amazing. And people will come back and say, oh, yeah, that kind of thing happened to me, this, and this. Or those people that say, oh, my dad never comes round. Be observant about what you're being shown and how you're being shown it. It's amazing. Before I go, I'd like to share with you my spiritual and personal development membership program that I've got coming up. It's on April the 8th, and it's like I said, it's a membership. So I'm starting it off at £20. It's launching at £20 per month per person. For that, you get 2 sessions in Zoom within each month on spiritual and or personal development, or the 2 might come in, or I might think, oh, people are struggling with this, I'm going to bring a bit of something else into it. You'll learn about trance channeling, mediumship, psychic, how to read cards, how to read intuitively, how to connect to the other side. Loads and loads of different ways to connect. You learn about aura, third eye, your chakra energy centers, the powerhouse, your belly, you're moving forward, colors, numbers. I'm going to teach you about everything, but you're also going to experience learning it yourself, doing it yourself. So I'm going to teach you it, you'll experience and learn by doing. But there's going to be 2 Zoom sessions where there will be practical times within each, but there'll also be listening times within each. We'll do meditations to get you in the right frame of mind, and I'll have Q&A to answer any of your questions connecting to what we've done. And there will be a WhatsApp group to support this, where you can ask ongoing questions, and I will come in there throughout the day and answer. That is amazing value. You know, I've worked hard on my spiritual path. I've worked full-time for over 30 years. And prior to that, I'd got all my stuff going on. So if you want some amazing teaching, advice, skills, then that will be the place to be. April the 8th. You can go on my website, johnmayfield.com, drop down the courses and look for spiritual and personal development. And that will be the one that you will need to sign up to. I am beginning at 7 p.m. on April the 8th. If you want to dip in and out of separate ones, that will be £15 per session. But for the whole month membership, it's £20, £20, £20. If you're in a country, this is happening. If people that are in another country that just can't make that time, you can still sign up and you can watch all of the replays, because the replays will be put in the WhatsApp group. How amazing is that? I want to see you succeed in your life. And I want to say thank you so much for being here and for listening. And speak to you soon in episode 3.
Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Your support is much appreciated. Please consider leaving a review, sharing on social media, and telling your friends about my podcast. You can also join my newsletter at johnmayfield.com. Remember, take what resonates from Zoetic Chat and enrich your life with wisdom in all areas. And stay tuned for the next episode.